and welcome back to another daily cribbage. We are against Stephen, and it looks like they are out in the forest, so let's see if we can confuse them with a little bit of our play. So 6, 7, 8, 9, obviously we keep that together. Do we want it with 3 or the 4? I like the 4 because it allows us to lead a 4, and if our opponent doubles us, we get to play a 7. But actually they go 8, and we're just going to fall into getting our 8 tripled. Yep, that is fine by me. Not really, but that's what we have to do here. They probably have 7s. Yeah, they have 7s in the back. Okay, that's a lot of points there. But it's hard to avoid losing a lot of points when your opponent has the counter. 7 double 8 against that is pretty hard. Okay, do we want to discard 5 jack or pair of aces? I'm going to go with the 5 jack here. I think computer's not going to like it, but I want to do something like that. Often you want to keep the double aces for the end, but actually, okay. Well, I get to play the 2 here, because if my opponent has a 4, it turns out quite poorly for them because I've got an extra ace. Yes. There we go. That's 4 points. We only had the 2 points in hand, but our crib turns out to be excellent because opponent discarded double 9. Yeah. Computer likes discarding 2 aces. I'm fine with that. Are we desperate enough to keep the 4, 4, 6 together to hope for a 5? Not yet. I think we're very happy if we cut aces and things like that. We're going to play out our queen. Opponent doesn't have 7s or below, so we might end up losing a lot of points here. Yeah, there's a 10 for the run. Opponent does have triple jack 10 and cut a 9, so this is not going our way. I would quite like to not get skunked this game. That's already a consideration. This one, yeah, we don't. We just throw away the double 10. The 8 is pretty nice, actually. Opponent probably has a lot more 5s than 4s. Is that true? I'm not sure. Okay, double 3, 6. We expect a lot of 9s here. 9s would make a lot of sense. But no, just triple 3, 6 for 8 points. Also makes sense, but is a lot rarer than having a 9. And, well, we are catching up with that hand. Let's see if we can keep this momentum going. 6, 7, double 9, double king. You know, if we get that 8, it will be really strong. But I think throwing away double king is just a little bit too much to ask for. We don't want to play our king here because our opponent has a lot of ways to make 5. For instance, that ace and 4. We don't want to give them an extra point when we don't need to. Opponent does have 6 points. 74 plus at least 2 points in the crib, but thankfully it's only 2 points. Okay. We are 21 points behind, but we're looking at quite a strong hand. We do cut a 6, which is quite nice. Opponent leads an 8, a little bit scary, considering that our opponent probably does have 7s here. I'm just going to play the king, because our opponent has shown signs that they might have a 10. But yeah, there's the 7, so our opponent has a nice big run, 5 to 9, and scores 9 points for it. Okay. So 73 plays 89. Opponent wants only... Well, one way to think about this is that our opponent is actually a little ways off from their milestone. We can think about this as our opponent being, say, they had the cut of the 4, which is okay. That's unfortunate. I was going to say that Yeah, our opponent being on 89 as the dealer sort of means that they're about 7 points behind where they'd want to be if they wanted to go out this round. Am I going to play an ace? I'm never playing the 2. I'm just going to play the 10, or the 7 here. Okay, well, it's sort of, I think it's bad either way. Okay, our opponent's really just showing us a flush, and the 8 on top's really good. Gets them the 3-point run, also combos with their 3-4. Sort of everything they wanted. Okay. Now, I think our opponent's pretty much won. The only problem is, can we not get skunked here? That would be pretty nice. Nope. The answer is we do get skunked. Tough game. Tough game for this, for the start of this week. 32 on the play from our opponent, really getting a lot of value out of us. And a lot of points in hand, which overall means, yeah, we get skunked today. Let's roll it back. Let's see if we have some decisions where we want to go over them. So this might be, well, this is one of the first moments in the game, and you might think of it as the moments where this game started to go off the rails already. So I paired the 8 here, and naturally we get tripled, which you kind of expect when your opponent plays an 8 on your 4. That really does happen quite a lot when you pair the 8. I want to point out maybe another line of play here that's also possible, which I didn't really think about in the game too much. Clearly playing the 7 is extremely dangerous. If we play the 7 and our opponent plays a 9, then what does that do? Well, it adds 16 to the total, so we'd be up to 28, and we'd have no good rebuttals after that. We'd pass, and we've shown 7-4, so we've shown a lot of weakness. Most of the time you want to show strength on the play. You want to disguise your weak hands as strong hands, because it might give you, your opponent might play out cards in a strange order in order to get value out of your strong hands, but actually you just had a weak hand all along. It's sort of like a bluff. And one way to bluff this situation is actually to play out a 6. So what does it do? Well, from our opponent's point of view, it leaves open a 7, right? They could play a 7 and make the total 24 and get 3 points for the run. From our point of view, that's actually not so bad, because we get to pair the 7, and we get 2 points for the pair and 2 points for 31, which gives us 4 points, and our opponent is going to get an extra point for the last card on the final go around, but we've already got plenty of points for this play, so 6 is actually pretty nice. And there is what we did in the game, which is to pair the 8. So looking back, also the other thing is that from our opponent's point of view, when we play the 6, we've revealed 4 and 6. So we're heavily implying a 5. Our opponent is really scared about hands that have a 5 here. And in fact, they're probably most scared about hands that have, say, another 5 and another 6, or another a 5 and another one of those cards, 4, 5, or 6. So then actually, it probably dissuades our opponent from playing the 7. And why is that? It's because, well, imagine that we've got a 5 in our hand. Our opponent makes it 24 with their 7. They score 3 points for the run, but then imagine this, we play our 5, and what does that give us? Well, it makes the total 29, and actually all the cards they've played. We get a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 massive run for 5 points. So our opponent would probably stay clear of that, because we're playing our 6 out, and so probably what's going to happen is our opponent's going to pair the 6 if they have one, because then then they make the total 24, and there's still room for us to triple the 6. So If we go 6 here, we make it 18. Opponent pairs our 6 for 24. And there's still room for us to come back with the triple for triple 6, making it 30. So maybe our opponent would avoid all of these things. And of course, our opponent is scared of some hands like that with 4, 6, 6, because those hands have 5s in them, and those hands would score 14 points. So opponent wouldn't want to give our really good hands like that any extra points. So the more that I think about it now, the more I think that 6 is actually a very nice, nuanced play here. It allows us to bypass a lot of our opponent's common hands that have a 7 in them, and it puts our opponent in a tough spot. It probably means that if they have a very low card, they want to play that out, and if our opponent does have a 7, then they're very much willing to give up points there. They probably have to. But actually, thinking about it now, it probably means our opponent is going to play a high card if they have them. So we make it 18 with our 6, and probably our opponent has a lot of hands where they're just going to give up. They play something like a 10 or a 9, and then make the total either 28 or 27. Our opponent's probably slightly more inclined to make the total 28 than 27 because we led a 4, so we probably have more pairs of 4s than a 3. No, thinking about that again, there are more 3s left in the deck, but we did leave a 4. I think it's fairly close. So what's the moral here? Well, I don't think pairing the 8 overall is such a bad play here. Our opponent doesn't have double 8 that often because double 8s go with 7s and we block an 8 and a 7. So we're getting fairly unlucky to go against pretty much the same kind of hand. Instead, we do have some safer options, but are we really trying to go safe as pawn the first time? Usually the answer is no. We are trying to score as much as possible because our opponent does have quite a big advantage by being the first dealer. But we have to, but it's a double-edged sword, because when our opponent does triple us, they get into a really good position. So I think the moral is that there are probably multiple plays that are pretty close here, and I think both 6 and pairing the 8 are pretty fine. Let me know what you think. Would you play the 6 here? Would you see these lines? Would you just pair the 8 and have what happened to us happen to you in this game? I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.